Thanks for listening to Live Forever Young Radio. Did you know that over 600,000 people in the U.S. die each year from cancer? Today on the show, Bob and Rollie talk about cancer and the importance of prevention and early detection to avoid developing it. They identify some of the main causes of cancer, some of which might surprise you, the tests to take to find out if you have it, and what simple everyday steps you can take to prevent it or keep it from coming back. Inform yourself for your health and get ready to live forever young.
Hello everyone, welcome to Live Forever Young Radio. I am Bob Gilpatrick. I'm here with Rollie Culp.
Hey Bob.
Welcome Rollie, how you doing?
Good man, how are you?
Good. So Rollie, today we're going to talk about preventing cancer.
Yes, it's a pretty serious one, but it's something very important because a lot of people that I know have at least one person or multiple people in their life that are affected by it.
Yes.
So I know there's a lot of people out there that want some information on it and really are having a hard time with it.
Yeah, so I'm one of the people who's affected by it with my family. My dad died from cancer when he was 57, and right around the same age, my sister died from cancer.
Oh, man.
And
sorry.
In the United States, over 600,000 people die from cancer every year.
Yeah, that's a lot, man.
And worldwide, it's more than 10 times that. About 15 times as many, actually. Like instead of 600,000, it's more like 6 million.
That's a lot
worldwide.
of people. That is a lot of people.
Yeah. And so it's really important to know what you can do to prevent yourself from getting cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do get cancer and it's cured, right, from treatment, then also what to do to prevent it from coming back.
Yeah, because a lot of people are able to go the first round and they knock it out, but either they don't follow up or the cancer's just real aggressive and it comes back.
Yeah.
So that's a big part of it too, the reoccurrence of it.
Yeah. So one of the main things that we know, which is a cause of cancer, is exposure to toxicity.
Absolutely.
In the environment.
Yes.
And so the CDC mentions a couple of things in particular that are cancer causing. Mm-hmm. One of them is overcooking your meat.
Yes.
We've talked about this on other shows.
Yes, we have.
But the rule of thumb is never cook your meat on dry heat over 300 degrees.
Okay.
If you are barbecuing, broiling, baking, frying foods, and it's cooked over 300 degrees, which is almost always the case.
Yeah.
The sugar that is in the meat will bump up against the fat in the meat and creates toxins that are carcinogenic.
Yeah, actually, I think we talked about it on another show. I think I brought this up before, but when they look at those things under the microscope, scientists look at the carcinogens from meat in particular, and they're like, "Oh my God," and they like, "Oh, that's don't touch that."
Yes, exactly. Right. The other one, Rollie, is people leaving their shoes inside the house.
Yeah, it's a weird one. Like you wouldn't think that, but you're right. I've read that.
Yeah. And so people walk around during the day outside primarily and even inside. So if you're inside and you're walking on a carpet and the carpet's been cleaned with a toxic carpet cleaner, it's now on your shoes. If you're walking on the sidewalk, you're picking up tire dust, fumes from the cars, you're picking up pesticides that were sprayed on the lawn.
That's
or
a big
on trees. Yep. And you pick those up on your shoes. You bring your shoes inside the house, you take them off. They're sitting in the hallway at nighttime. Mm-hmm. They're off-gassing these toxins, and you're breathing it in all night long.
So what you're saying is there's a reason why they have those little green stakes that come from whatever company sprayed the lawn. It says stay off the grass for 24 hours. Right. It's not just because they don't want you to go on the grass and they're being like, possessive neighbors. There's a real reason. Don't go on the grass.
Yeah, exactly. So these are main things that are toxins that can cause it, but you also have just pesticides in general, which not only can you breathe in, but you also can take in from your foods.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
I mean,
So
fruits and vegetables.
you want to try to always get organic fruits and vegetables
Yeah.
if you can.
Well,
And at the very least, wash your food really well before you eat it.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you. I didn't mean to do that. But one thing I was going to say is in your local community, like in Florida, down here in St. Pete, we have a Saturday morning market. And there's a lot of places in the area that have organic food that they bring there, and you can like buy in boxes and in bundles. So, like, I guess it's a matter of looking for more resources than just going to the grocery store. Look in your community. If you live in an area that's rural and there's farmers out there, they're going to have to sell their food. And if you can get it directly from that, that's the best place. Like all the stuff I get is from a small little farm right down in Florida that they bring it to the market every Saturday, and they have it all pre-boxed for you because you order it online. And that's the freshest that I can find. I've actually found lots of really cool little caterpillars hanging around in there, which I'd rather see caterpillars than know that there's a waxy coating of wax holding in the pesticide that was in there. So,
exactly.
Look for that kind of stuff. It's out there.
Rollie, the other thing is funguses also have been implicated in one of the causes of cancer.
There's a fungus among us.
Yeah, and people are exposed to funguses all the time. They say we live on a mold planet. There's more fungus on this planet than anything else. Okay, and so some of it's really bad for you and carcinogenic, and so it's good to be able to constantly cleanse your body of molds because there's no way to avoid them 100%.
Yeah, when we were talking a little bit about the barley in the barley show we did, The Miracle of Sprouting, I believe is what it was called. We actually talked about how you had mold detoxification from the barley and how it was staining your white shirt. So, and that. I mean, you didn't even really realize that until you detox. So you really don't know how much you have or come in contact that's in your skin or on your dermis that could be causing problems.
So with all that being said, it is a good thing for people to have a strategy for detoxifying themselves. There's no way to avoid all the toxins. In fact, when you're born with hundreds of toxic chemicals in your body that are environmental, that have come in to you in the womb through mom, through poisons in water, food, the air, etc. Mom's constantly exposed and the baby's exposed.
Right.
And so you're born toxic, and then as you age, you get more and more toxic. Oof. So you want to be able to get those toxins out on a regular basis. If you've never done detoxing before, you want to be very careful and do it very slowly, because your liver and kidneys have to participate. So if you are freeing up or binding up some toxins that are in your cells, you then have to process them out through those organs. Right. So you don't want to overload them and make them all of a sudden, all at once, your kidneys have to now, flush these toxins. So you always, whatever detox you're going to do, start really slow. If you start to feel sick, and you're going to want to stop and then start over again even more slowly.
Right. So if you're not feeling good, basically you're saying just stop, let yourself feel better, and then start over, and then start at maybe a little less of an amount than before. Also, probably drink a lot of water.
Drink a lot of water, but what you don't want to do is say, oh, well, I'll just tough it out and I'll just be sick and it'll get it done sooner. Not a good idea at all, because that means that your kidneys are really struggling, and you don't want to do that because you can actually damage your kidneys if you do it too fast.
Right.
So with our sprouted barley seeds, it's a very, very strong detoxifier, and for that reason comes with instructions on how to start slow.
Yep.
So you start out with a small amount each day for the first week, then you increase a little bit the next week, a little bit more. And this way the toxins are coming out, right, in a manageable rate, and then you can begin to increase it so that you get the additional benefits of the sprouted barley seeds, the amino acids, the metabolic enzymes, the antioxidant effect, right? Because all of these things are also good for helping prevent cancer, particularly the antioxidant effect, which we'll talk about in a little bit.
Right. Yeah. And, the good thing about something like a detoxification process, whether it's our sprouted barley or something, is that usually it will help you to kind of get those to a manageable level. But it's not like, hey, we're done, right? Because every day you're coming in contact with more.
Right.
So
Exactly.
You got to remember it's kind of an ongoing
It wouldn't
thing.
take too long before your body was toxic again.
Yeah.
So you want to have a maintenance program.
Right.
So that each day you take in toxins and each night you're releasing them and, cleansing them out of your body.
Yeah, you got to have that balance.
So, Rollie, the other thing that is good to talk about in regard to prevention is maintaining healthy mitochondria.
Yes.
Right? Now, we've done a show on mitochondria.
Yes, we have.
Okay.
And check that out. Go to liveforeveryoungradio.com. It'll give you some real good detail on it. But how it relates in this situation.
Yeah, so there is, a lot of research, a lot of evidence that cancer is a metabolic type disease where a cell becomes toxic or a cell becomes dysfunctional,
Right.
because the mitochondria, which are the powerhouses of the cell, start to malfunction, which leads to a sequence that the cell then becomes cancerous.
Right.
Okay? And so you want to take good care of your mitochondria. You want to know
Absolutely.
how to. So listen to that show, but just in general, you want to make sure about your iron level. So a lot of people have high iron levels and they don't know it. It may go for a blood test and iron is not checked normally, so the doctor doesn't know if you're high in iron.
Right.
And even if you do get a test and they say, oh, it's fine, you're in the range, you want to look at where in the range it is, because you don't want to be at the high end of the range. That will damage your mitochondria, right? So the iron is damaging your mitochondria because it is interacting with a waste product of your Krebs cycle, the creation of energy cycle, that is hydrogen peroxide. And the iron connects with it and makes what's called an ROS, a reactive
Oxygen species. That's right. I remember
and that is what damages the mitochondria.
Okay.
Right? And so you want to make sure that your iron level is just a little below the midway point of that range.
Okay.
So you have enough iron for the metabolic pathways it's involved in, particularly the delivery of oxygen to your
Right.
cells.
That's one of the big
You want to have
things.
enough, but you certainly don't want to have too much, because that's even worse than having too little iron. And that's one of the main things that damages mitochondria.
It's
right?
too much iron.
Yeah. And then
Iron levels. Check them.
then the other
Don't be
part
chewing on.
is
Don't chew on nails. No
yes,
chewing on nails.
that's right. Yeah, especially rusty ones. Right?
Yeah,
So
don't do that.
the other whole thing is really watching your diet.
Right.
Right. So the diet, the main thing is to not consume too much sugar.
Oh man, and it's in everything. So that's like you gotta watch, man.
Exactly. So there's actually a really good book called The Sugar Impact Diet.
Yes, we've talked
by
about
J.J.
that before.
Virgin.
It's very
right?
good. Very good.
And it's a book that shows you where all the hidden sugars are. So, because very few people have a bag of sugar and they're eating it by the spoonful. Sugar is in foods and in drinks. Sugary drinks, soda pops, energy drinks have lots of sugar in them.
Right, and then there's the carbohydrates too.
Yeah. And
You
so
gotta take those into account.
yeah. Now, the sugary drinks, Raleigh, the data is showing still that about 25% of all the calories in America is being consumed by drinking soda pop.
Oh man.
Right? Thus, you have 600,000 people in the United States dying from cancer each year.
Yeah.
Okay? And so you want to make sure you have the sugar impact diet, make a commitment to a life with very little sugar. Okay.
Yeah.
And also try to avoid processed foods.
Right.
And eat real foods, like you were saying, from the farmer's market.
Right.
Good, fresh, whole foods that are organic.
Yeah, and I've also heard the keto diet is very good.
Yeah.
Keto diet is something good to follow because of the fact it's helping you burn a lot of the fat for fuel.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the keto diet is more healthy fats and less carbohydrates.
Correct.
And is shown through studies to be a great assistance in preventing cancer.
Cool.
Right. You also have a whole issue of trying to consume foods that are anti-angiogenic. Right?
Anti-angiogenic.
Right. And so angiogenesis is the creation of new arteries that will supply sugar via the bloodstream to a cancer cell. Mm-hmm. So if you have cells that have metabolic damage, right, to the mitochondria,
unhealthy mitochondria,
right, and they begin to become cancerous, that cancer cell will send a call for the blood supply, and you'll actually create a new artery that'll come and feed the cancer cell, and it's feeding it sugar. Right? And so that's called angiogenesis. What you want to do is consume foods that are known to block that angiogenesis.
Yeah, you don't want a lifeline going to the cell in the form of a vessel. Right. So you got to block it.
So you're looking at strawberries, very good one. Green tea, red grapes, artichokes,
nice,
all really good.
I heard kale too
for that.
Kale
and kale.
Kale's very good.
Yep, kale's good. Just don't eat a lot of it raw.
Right. We talked about steaming the veggies.
Yeah, you don't want to eat a lot of cruciferous vegetables raw because of an acid that can damage your thyroid.
Yep. So, in the last show we did what's what with leaky gut. We talk about how you want to avoid eating the vegetables raw, because it causes that acid and issues with that. And then what you want to do is steam them.
Yeah. So if you steam them very lightly, it'll get rid of most of that acid. Mm-hmm. And then you can go ahead and juice them, eat them, with good grass-fed organic butter.
That's good
really
stuff.
Good,
yep.
Right? Rollie, another thing that specifically we want to talk about is inflammation in general.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because inflammation has a direct, correlation with cancer. And it's not just inflammation in the mitochondria from the iron, okay? But generalized inflammation is something that you want to keep down as much as possible.
Yeah, we talk a lot about it in all of our shows, how many things are caused simply by having too much of this inflammation in your body.
Yep. And we have a whole show just on inflammation.
Absolutely.
Okay? But in general, you want to make sure that you're not consuming foods that create inflammation, which is foods that raise your blood sugar. Okay. Right? Now, foods that raise your blood sugar, that it leaves excess sugar in your blood,
right,
and it bumps up against proteins in your blood, which are good proteins for building
things.
And the sugar damages it and creates a toxin that is carcinogenic, and it also has a result of throwing off a superoxide molecule, which is highly volatile and damages your body and is a contributing factor to cancer. It raises a blood test called C-reactive protein, which is your measure of inflammation. And the rule of thumb is you want yours to be below 0.5, and it's a good number that is indicative of preventing cancer.
Right, because it's really a measure of the level of inflammation in your body.
Exactly. So by keeping it low, you won't have these pathways that are damaging your cells, damaging your mitochondria, et cetera. All right. And you can keep your inflammation low by watching your diet and also consuming anti-inflammatory nutrients.
Absolutely.
So you need, we talked about the sprouted barley seeds as superoxide dismutase.
Right.
The Boomer Boost product that we have contains vitamins A, C, and E, minerals like selenium and zinc. Also has glutathione.
Right.
Also has trimethylglycine and a proanthocyanin.
Yeah.
And so all these together can reduce, as we see with our people that use our products, their inflammation might be at a level 5 or a level 3, and as they go through a couple of months, inflammation comes down to 0.3 or 0.5, sometimes even below 0.1.
Right. And yeah, the thing about inflammation that really makes a difference is it also contributes to the aging factor, right? And you're making less of the antioxidants naturally as you age. So therefore you need to supplement somehow, and that would be through high, like we said, high foods with antioxidants, and really a good supplement that can pull that inflammation out will really help to slow the aging process and also at the same time help with the
Right.
prevention of cancer and angiogenesis.
Exactly. So cancer is also related to age. The older you get, the more likely you are to get cancer.
Right.
And that partly relates to the fact that you're accumulating toxins, but you also are making less antioxidants. So
Precisely.
you're aging faster as you get older, and you're increasing your risk for cancer as you get older, unless you pay attention, follow along with what we're talking about, take your antioxidants.
Right. There was a book you had mentioned right before we started talking about doing this show. Cancer-free.
Are you sure?
Are you sure?
Cancer-free.
Okay, that's what
Are
it was.
you sure? And it's Jenny Herbacek.
Right.
Her last name is spelled Herbacek. And Jenny is a registered nurse who is a survivor of cancer. And cancer also recurred. And she didn't know that she was having a recurrence until it was pretty far along. And so she endeavored to write a book to help people that have had cancer and want to make sure it doesn't come back.
Right.
And so she talks about a test that's an anti-malignancy antibody test, a circulating tumor test, and there's numerous tests she talks about in the book. And it's different ones for different types of cancer.
Oh, wow.
And she also talks about a lot of the things we're talking about today. So I got to meet Jenny at a cancer conference.
Oh, wow.
That was put on by Joseph Mercola and also other physicians that came and people like Jenny. And I got to meet Jenny and get one of her books.
Nice.
So really important book to have. It's not only for recurrence of cancer, but just in general, you can get those tests done for yourself, even if you've never had cancer.
Right. And, one of the things that we were talking about as far as prevention, but we kind of haven't touched on it, is the exercise factor.
Yes. Exercise is important by itself for preventing cancer because it increases your circulation, which is really important, and it also helps you keep your ideal body weight.
Right.
So that's another issue. Okay, obesity.
Yes, it is.
Which usually is associated with consuming too many carbohydrates
Sugars
and
and
right?
things
Has
like
a
that.
direct correlation to your risk for cancer.
Right.
And so exercise is extremely effective way to help prevent cancer. You want to try to do aerobic exercise, 2 or 3 times a week, do some strength training exercises as well. We've had Dave Spinelli on before talking about exercise.
Yep. All Things Fitness is the name of the show. It's actually really good.
Really, really good show to listen to. And I think, Rollie, just the last thing is this. We know from research that if someone gets cancer, particularly breast cancer, and they survive the breast cancer, right, they have a much higher chance of dying of other diseases later on,
Right.
such as heart disease and Alzheimer's disease. Now,
Very true.
this is not surprising since we know that high inflammation can be a cause of cancer.
Right.
Poor diet, all the things we're talking about. They also are causes of Alzheimer's
And
heart disease.
Yep, exactly.
So the good news is that paying attention to antioxidants, paying attention to your diet, paying attention to your circulation,
Your inflammation
your
levels.
inflammation, all help to prevent both Alzheimer's and heart disease also.
In
So-
addition.
Right. And so you don't have to really do anything different to prevent heart disease and Alzheimer's disease. You just need to follow along what we're talking about for preventing cancer, because these good habits and these bits of information about avoiding toxins with your shoes inside the house
Right.
and all that, having all that toxicity in your body creates more inflammation, and more inflammation damages your heart and also your brain.
Exactly.
And so follow along with this and prevent the early onset of other diseases if you are a cancer survivor.
Yeah, and that's one of the things, that's why we felt like it was important, because we knew that not only did the statistics say it, but there's plenty of people that I know. Actually, unfortunately, my aunt just got diagnosed with throat cancer. Luckily, they they caught it early. She's 82 right now. She said she had a sore throat and it wasn't going away. So she went into the doctors for something and they were checking it out and they found this little lump here. But she pays attention. She's 82 for a reason and she's in really good health. Actually, this is the first time she was ever in the hospital for anything other than some routine thing. So it just goes to show you, early detection helps to prevent, as well as following a good, healthy diet. Just being reasonable. Don't eat sugars.
So make sure your aunt has a good supply of Gladiator barley.
Actually, I already sent her some.
Boomer Boost.
I already sent her some. I actually called her last night to see if she needed any more.
And vitamin D as well. Very highly correlated. Low vitamin D levels is correlated with cancer. So you want to make sure your level's up there around 70. And we can give people that vitamin D in a total health system that comes with the barley and Boomer Boost. Also gives you some extra omega-3s and the D3 for free.
Absolutely.
And Rollie, I think that's about it for today. That covers the major issues there.
There's a lot of things to go over, but we couldn't cram it all into one show. But hey, we went over a lot. Check out the other shows we were talking about, so you guys can kind of get up on the mitochondrial thing and what we were talking about with inflammation. That's one of our earlier shows.
And exercise as well.
Absolutely.
And Rollie, thanks for joining us today.
Always. Thanks to you guys for joining us too.
Everybody for watching and listening to Live Forever Young Radio. We'll see you on the next show.
Thanks for listening to Live Forever Young Radio. Check us out at liveforeveryoungradio.com.